are healthy, that you are managing under this situation, COVID-19. The lockdown has become almost global, except for few places in the world. Everyone is doing their best to fight the problem. Now, for those of you who are interested in the news, some of the headlines for today: COVID cases jumped to 3,246. The deaths are now at 152 casualties, and our prayers, our condolences go out to all of those who have lost loved ones there, particularly our health workers, frontliners. We just pray for consolation and support for the loved ones, the orphans, and the widows. Recoveries is at 64. We at least have 64 people who have recovered. This is just the official government statistics, but it seems that there are even more recoveries than is rolling out because the statistics are just playing catch up. With mass testing to start at Easter, the DOH expects fewer COVID-related deaths in the coming weeks, mid-April. A total of 19,585 individuals have been tested. Of the number, 83% tested negative for the infection. So at least 80% of that sample have tested negative, so that's good news. Undersecretary Vergere says that there are 8 laboratories capable of conducting 1,200 tests per day, while 77 other laboratories are pending assessment and would also become operational soon. In fact, we reported over the weekend that the new test kits that were developed, created by the UP, is now ready for commercial application. Next headline: quarantine extension gains support. Vice President Lenny Robredo, senators, members of Congress, and businessmen have expressed support for the extension of the quarantine, or as they are now referring to it, some people are referring to it as the ECQ/2. DILG Secretary Eduardo Año yesterday said the Interagency Task Force, IATF, would meet today to discuss whether the Luzon-wide quarantine would be extended or modified to address the health crisis. The talk right now is whether it's going to be extended to May 15 or May 30. That's not official. I'm just telling you what our sources are telling us. And for everyone's sake, I personally am supporting the extension, and I know many of my friends are supporting it because we've already done a month-long quarantine, or almost a month-long quarantine. We've actually done 3 weeks, and some of us have done longer because of secondary exposures. And all of that would become useless if we lift the quarantine and end up having a relapse, a phase 2, like some other countries are now experiencing. Third headline: doctors and lawyers are urging COVID patients and their families to please waive your privacy rights. IBP, Integrated Bar of the Philippines, the Philippine Medical Association, Philippine College of Surgeons appealed to COVID-19 patients to waive their right to patient privacy to aid the DOH contact tracing. The 3 organizations said pressing demands of public health and safety have outweighed individual rights. We've long said that we really need to make those information public because it makes contact tracing easier. At least people know, like in our case, we did not know that we had secondary exposure until the people themselves actually made efforts to figure out, okay, who did I meet up today, and that's when I found out that one of my guests had a secondary exposure to a positive patient. So that's why I was asked to do self quarantine by our studio something like 4 weeks ago. In any case, that's just part of the news. For those of you who haven't read up or listened to the radio or watched TV, the Rizal province has instituted a province-wide lockdown. Singapore will also institute a closure tomorrow because of growing cases of COVID. Some bad news. One bad bit of bad news, sad news here. Our good friend, former DNR Secretary Fulgencio June Factoran, has passed away from a lingering illness. He was secretary of the DNR. He died at age 76. Our condolences and prayers go to the family of Secretary June Factoran. We will include him and include you in our prayers. Last bit of news, Sampaloc Hospital was closed down by Mayor Isko Moreno after 5 health workers tested positive. The hospital is being disinfected. The health workers are being asked to isolate, take a rest, and that's just a sampling of what we are facing in this situation. Okay, now let's move forward to today's program. We have a number of guests lined up, and we are starting, I believe, with a man who has been in the crosshair, in the targeted, or has been a punching bag of President Rodrigo Duterte for I don't know exactly what he did wrong and why he's being targeted. We have with us Chell Diokno, attorney Jose Manuel Chell Diokno, who is a human rights lawyer and chairman of the Free Legal Assistance Group of FLAG. Good morning, Chell.
Good morning, Cito. Good morning to everyone who's watching.
Okay, Chell, I saw that press conference or program that the president went on air, and I, for one, was shocked. I was shocked because I didn't know what caused it. I'd like to think that I'd been watching the news quite intensely, and I could not make any connection between you and the president's, tirade against you. What do you have any idea why you became the target of that conference?
I am in the same quandary that you are in. When I woke up that morning after he gave that raid, I really tried to rack my brains. Sabi, ano bang ginawa ko na that would incur his ire? All I've been doing lately is I've been trying to help in any way I can, given that we're in an enhanced community quarantine. I
Mm-hmm.
receive requests for assistance, legal advice. In other ways, I try to help because I know how hard it is, especially for our poor communities. Yun lang naman yung ginagawa ko. I'm sure we all know my background. I'm a human rights lawyer, so a lot of things that come my way have to do with free speech and other rights. But that's par for the course as far as the work I do.
Okay, but did you at any point come out with a press statement, talk to media reporters, or in any way uh, say publicly anything about a case you were handling that would have been violative of the enhanced community quarantine? Because that's what people are guessing. Siguro Chell said something in defense of his clients and napiko ng Malacanang because we're all supposed to be under community quarantine.
So what I have come out with recently is about the case that came my way of a person who was issued a subpoena by the NBI for supposedly violating an old law, a provision in our revised penal code, which prohibits the publication of false news when you peddle it as news. But when I looked
Okay.
at the subpoena didn't indicate what particular post my client made that supposedly gave rise to the investigation. So we were left as well in a quandary as to what's the basis for that investigation. When I looked over the post that he had made, I really didn't see anything that was, criminal in nature. Iba naman kasi yung naglalabas ka ng balita na alam mo talagang fake. I mean, we've seen that
Okay.
very often in Facebook and other social media, but the posts that I saw from my client weren't like that. So I was concerned, especially when I heard that other people had also been issued subpoenas, that the little speech that we have left, because we can't go out of our homes, is there are attempts perhaps to silence that. And that's what I spoke up about. Baka yun naman yung naging dahilan, hindi ko alam.
Okay. Now I understand, or I've been given the impression that you yourself have been sent a subpoena by the NBI. Is this true?
No, no, that's not true. As far as I know, I haven't
Okay. So
received any.
okay. So fake news yan. Wala ka pang natatanggap na subpoena from the NBI.
Yes.
Okay, so how are you planning to go about things? Just clarify one thing for me, Chell. Did you step forward, volunteer to defend those people, those the 21 individuals who were arrested by the PNP, yung rally who staged a rally or violation of the ECQ doon sa EDSA? Those who allegedly were led or instigated by the kadamay ba yun or something? Because there's an impression that you volunteered to defend them. Is that the
No,
case?
I have never volunteered to defend them, and they have not engaged my services, nor have they engaged the services of the Free Legal Assistance Group. So wala kaming whatever kind of relationship sa kanila. I don't know how that news came
Okay.
about. Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like you are now the favorite punching bag, distraction, or labasan ng sama ng loob ni Presidente?
Well, I don't mind. This is not the first time that he's subjected me to this kind of tirades. But I do hope that our national government will act as one. I do hope that they focus on the real problems that we're facing because we are in a health crisis. Our people need food, our frontliners need support, and we also have to worry about what will happen to the economy later on. And these are really huge problems that the government should be thinking about because that's really what we're facing.
Okay, so final last question. How are you handling it? How are you going about? Stay home ka lang ba? Or what's your situation? People are kind of worried for you.
Well, as much as possible, of course, I stay home. I observe the enhanced community quarantine. Okay naman ako. Masaya naman ako na nag-trending yung ngipin ko. It's something that I never expected. But, I'm just determined to continue doing what I can to help.
Okay, well, we'll leave it at that, Chell, and we're happy that you're at least you still in high spirits, and we continue to pray for you. We hope that you will stay safe, stay strong, and stay healthy. And God bless you and your family. And I hope that when all of this is over, you and the president can just smoke the peace pipe, as they say. And take care of yourself, bro.
Thank you. Thank you, Sito. God bless.
Okay, that's Attorney Chell Diokno, and at least we were able to clarify some points. First is that he never volunteered to defend or legally represent those 21 individuals who were arrested on EDSA by the PNP for violating the enhanced community quarantine, and he himself is surprised or unaware as to what really triggered the president's ire to make him the lone target of President Duterte. I believe that was Friday night. Now let's move on to our next guest. With our next guest, I hope I'm doing this shuffle correctly. We have the president and CEO of Social Enterprise Development Partnerships. His been recommended for us because he is quite concerned, quite concerned about the impact of COVID-19 on micro entrepreneurs. Vince Rapisura. Vince, are you there? Okay, we're gonna check on our setup here. We kind of put in a new setup, and we are actually, I think, going to get to Vince in a while. But in the meantime, I will go to certain concerns. Okay, there is an issue right now regarding the social amelioration card. Ililinaw po natin ito sa mga tagapanood natin sa probinsya. The social amelioration card. Okay. I'll touch on the social amelioration card later, but because we have with us our next guest, Vince is still being hooked up. We'll go back. We'll go back to Vince in a while. For the meantime, I'd like to talk to one of our regular resource person on agenda. We have with us Mr. George Bercelon. He is the president of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is also the president of Integrated Computer Systems. George, good morning to you. Uh, I can see your ceiling. I think George, like many of us, are still adjusting to the reality of work from home. And even if he's president of a computer company, it is clearly one of those setups where he sells the product, he doesn't use it. Okay, there you go, George. Good morning.
Morning, Sito, and morning to
Okay,
the viewers.
Okay, George. Just let's start off with this ECQ slash dash two, or the extension of the community quarantine. Uh, Apparently, there's a growing support for it. What is the feeling of the members of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry?
Well, I think this enhanced community quarantine is very important because at this stage, we're not certain yet, uh, where the cluster of infection is coming from. You can see the numbers of people getting infected. It's doubling every 5 days, something like that. Now we have gone beyond 3,000. In a way that the death has not been very percentage. So it's something that the private sector, from the very beginning, when the president pronounced about this community quarantine, the private sector has been very supportive. And may I add, the private sector has been very disciplined. So it's been almost 3 weeks. The COVID what I would say would be very indicative of exactly what's happening outside. Primarily because kulang yung test natin. Alam mo
Okay.
naman, the first test was all concentrated in IRTM. And they can only do so many hundreds a day. But now, we have more facilities spread all over different areas, in Quezon City, in Caloocan, and other major municipalities. So hopefully, this will give us more data. And together with the rapid test that the FDA has just recently approved. We had a Zoom sessions last Saturday. It's really more like a town hall session where you get the businessmen, the organization, and some of the cabinet members to discuss. And it's good that they now realize that numbers. I'm sure a lot of viewers. We also look at the international news. And madalas, ang pinag-usapan dyan is the curve, the peak and the flattening. So the only way you can know is you have to have a methodology of getting the numbers, getting the data, analyzing it, and see where we are. Yeah. So this is is something that has really the whole nation in the activity side. Um, it's something that we have to. We're in this together. How long it will take? We still have up to the first pronouncement of the president was up to April 13. Okay? Now, I think the IATF, in collaboration with the private sector, is discussing what would be the next move. That's all I have to
Yeah,
say on that.
yeah. George, what is the sentiment of your members, of the PCCI members? Because the word is, my sources tell me, it's either going to be May 15 or May 30. And, meron pa nga naglalabas sa Facebook na minimum dapat 40 days because it's biblical. People are saying dapat 60 days because that's what some other countries have done. What is the sentiment of your chamber, and what can the business sector absorb? I don't think we are now longer talking about profitability or
Right?
continuity. We're
Tama.
talking about survival.
Tama.
Anong
Yeah.
kakayanin ninyo?
Ang mga private sector, lalo ng mga members ng mga PCCI, ang constituents namin, marami mga micro, small, medium. Okay? Sa umpisa, nag-lockdown tayo, there is this malasakit or bayanihan spirit. Okay? Karamihan, nagbigay naman ng mga sweldo for the period of March. Marami din nagpangako ng the 13-month advance nila for April. But we have to be realistic. Medyo gipit sila. Ang PC nila short eh. So I think,
Okay.
given the 2 months period of not really being business, they are hard up. But then you have to balance. You have to balance the public safety and the economic side. Okay? The what really the CCI, Elexport, ECOP, and other business organizations is really requesting the government for financial aid. For financial aid. Naririnig natin, meron yung DOLE, meron yung DSWD, but apparently, it's still in the work. I asked around, mga member namin, they have not received yet. Okay? So that side of it, I think amelioration has to come into play. Many of us, honestly, have done their part, have given bale to the workers in view that they cannot work. Now, as I was saying earlier, we don't want to put the public or our workers unnecessarily in harm's way. Itong COVID-19, napakatapang. I've asked some doctors, maski na naka-PPE sila, no? Protective, personal protective equipment, nahawa rin. So,
Yes.
I don't know, even the people in the healthcare, no? But saludo ako sa mga healthcare workers. I call them now the frontline healthcare heroes. Because alam nila na they are in harm's way, but they are still performing their duty. But in the last few days, yesterday, we had a meeting with also Secretary Neda, Secretary Tonya of Neda, and the rest. And what is being discussed is we have to fast track the testing so that we would know. Okay? And I suggested the logistic for testing is not that simple. Yung last mile, nandyan ang tao, papaswap mo siya or the antigen test, rapid test, kukunin mo na isang drop ng dugo, okay. That's the last mile. The first mile is how to bring them there. Asymptomatic eh. If you're not careful, you bring them there, mahahawa yung mga ibang tao. In Singapore, if they have a PUI that they need to check, they will ask the person to go to a center. It's very sanitized area, and they will ask an ambulance to bring that person to the testing. Okay. So we know that there's a logistic issue. I think the Undersecretary Carlito, General Galvez, they're doing everything. They're planning it. That's why the mass testing, alam natin nandito na sa atin mga test kits eh. But we're scheduling, the schedule is April 14. April 14 is still 8 days away. Yeah. So I was suggesting, in the meantime, why don't we do anecdotal? Why don't we use the barangay? Anyway, they're distributing food, no? Why don't we use them to survey the area, yung jurisdiction nila, kung ilan ang may sakit. Just that. Kung trangkaso, kung ano man, as long as they're... And then after 3 days, or maybe 2 days, do another survey. If the number goes up, because based on what we know now, the spiking is almost double every 7 days or 5 days. So within 3 days, you would see some more sick, people who are sick. So even the anecdotal will allow you to know that maybe there is a cluster of infection. With our limited resources, with our limited frontline health heroes, even yung PPEs, kapos tayo. So maybe a way, a practical way of getting more information to form the baseline. Ang kailangan natin baseline, okay, where is this virus spreading? Okay. Pag hindi mo alam, I remember the World Health Director General. Noon pa, 2 months ago, I mean, middle of March, I've been telling, government officials, test. You got to do testing. Because it's like fighting fire, blindfolded.
But George, sorry to cut in. Okay, there is a concern because, yes, you're correct. We need to test. That's what the World Health Organization told us to do so. And but here's another new problem. It's the asymptomatic people. Tapos 20% are positive. That's the statistical assessment. 20% will be positive. We don't know how many percent the asymptomatics will be, and apparently they're deadlier than the positives because they are going around, they're not feeling anything, and they will contaminate. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is for businessmen like you and your members, it's no longer going to be back to normal. We are going to have find ways and means to implement not just social distancing, but office distancing, production line distancing, delivery distancing, etc. Are there moves, suggestions, or ideas that are is there a group in PCCI that's already studying this? Because if you're going to study this after the fact, when the ECQ is lifted, it would be too late, too long for you to recover.
Yes.
Is there now a task group or task force or committee within PCCI or the business community that's now studying, okay, what is going to be our new normal in the offices, in the factories, in the logistics way of doing things?
Yes, Ito. This definitely, from the business man point of view, we'd like to get the council. If you're in business, it's really, cash flow is very important. Na umiikot yung pera mo. Sa ngayon, everything's done. By the way, Sito, I hope you don't mind. My title is President Emeritus PCCI. It's okay. Okay. Now, you were talking about whether our group has been discussing. Of course, we have been discussing. And we have come up with some suggestions, like what you're saying, the social distancing that we're practicing now, no? And even if you talk about starting manufacturing again, uh, as of now, the public transportation is completely locked down. So even that is an issue. But the issue here is really the new normal, at least in the foreseeable future. I hate to say this, but I'm glad that the government
Yeah.
and private sector are helping, no, to rebuild the confidence, because the new norm seems to be uncertainty. Hindi natin alam exactly what's going to happen. Okay. So there is a proposal, and it has been taken up, and I brought this also from the owners, and even I said, you must, any of this place where congregation of people, upon entry, you must install a disinfect system. Pagpasok ka, you'll be sprayed like that, because it gives the uh, public confident na naka-screen. Pagpasok ka, you're sprayed, you're disinfected. Even government officials, even schools, I think all of them have to do that. Because assuming we say, oh, sige, the enhanced quarantine, community quarantine is relaxed, I personally would not be so comfortable yet to go into public places. But until I see that this is they have taken care of, they have a system to disinfect. And the other side is that the government should really take effort in disinfecting the people from the lower strata. We know where they live. It's very congested, post-quarter. May mga lugar, it's not so convenient for them to be washing their hands so often, di ba? So
Yeah.
those areas has to be disinfected.
Okay.
Kasi informal sector,
Yeah.
I'm leading that informal sector, and they form part of our, as far as the economy, ang service sector malaki. So the informal sector, even if private, he's not working for the nation, because I don't know when he comes, baka asymptomatic. If I were to go out and he's driving, he's only 3 feet away from me. Delikado yun.
So George, would it be safe to say that the new normal will be parang you have a computer company in the electronics industry, especially highly sensitive equipment and manufacturing, lahat nakasuit. This is normal in Japan. If you are in an electronics production
Yeah.
line,
Yeah.
you're wearing a forgive me. You're wearing a suit, a safety suit, gloves, etc., even mask. Ito na ba yung magiging new normal for production line? Number one. Number two, will this be a matiraang matibay scenario, the companies who invested, because we have export processing zone that are somewhat modern, but they have not integrated housing for their employees.
Yes.
Will we
Yes.
now see a situation where the companies with the best cash flow, with the biggest capital, and the land area can now develop factories, offices na kasama na ang housing ng cleared personnel?
Right. That's a possibility. But it's all a play of cost. Can you afford it? Can you afford to house your workers and feed them? As of now, 50% of the BPO, they're doing that.
Yeah.
On the other side, you work at home. It's some companies that is not manufacturing, they can do that. But that's only 50%. But the other side of the equations is the consumer. The consumer now, okay, has dropped so much. Okay. Not only in the Philippines, maski na yung mga sa abroad, alam natin, Europe. North America.
Yes.
Okay? The unemployed is going tens of millions. So the demand of goods has really slackened a lot. So ang mga manufacturing dito sa atin, malamang it's only those pharmaceutical, food-related industries. Of course, if you talk about this industry, hindi naman na marami na yung supply chain. Packaging, no? Components, okay, all of this. So, it will take time for the confidence of the consumer, of the public. Okay? And from the business side, they will just mirror it. Kung nandyan ang demand, lumalabas ng mga consumer, they're going to the malls, they're going to, because ang lifestyle ngayon na millennial, mall is a lifestyle. You go there, 50% of the establishment in the mall is food and beverages. 50% in the mall. 20%,
Yeah,
30% clothing. Ang demand.
But all of you have agreed that anything that involves social mass gathering has to be held in abeyance, stop muna. Now, you mentioned the industries that will continue to survive would be food, would be pharmaceuticals or healthcare. Now, you didn't talk about agri.
And then the other one is telco. Telco is doing very well. The agri is part of food. Sito, the agri is part of food. Food.
Okay. Now, as far as agri is concerned, because I've been reading up on the reports and then on the interviews I've been watching, and people are already saying, the experts are saying, there will be protectionist move all over the world. Countries will start thinking food security, kami muna, pagkain muna para sa amin bago sa inyo. Vietnam has started to shut down the rice exports to ensure their supply. What do you think we should be doing in the Philippines regarding food security?
The agri sector is one of the strong advocacy of PCCI. Noon pa, we know that to be food sufficient is a pillar that we must focus. The rice that we import is about 10 to 12% every year annually. Okay? So we hope that I checked with the people in the rice business. They're telling me that okay pa tayo hanggang October. Okay? But it will give us that piece of comfort kung makaroon ng importation from Vietnam to hold us up to December. Okay? So, but nevertheless, food sufficiency is very important because we import too much. So the Department of Agriculture, under Secretary Dar, I think, is moving along that line. And private sector has been very supportive. One of the issue, with this community quarantine is yung mga checkpoint. Minsan nahihirapan yung mga magsasaka to bring their produce, no? But it has been worked out. I mean, DTI, Secretary Mon Lopez has been very supportive. And Secretary Anyo also.
At least there's positive news. We have up to October, and we hope to be able to import for supplies beyond that. George,
yes.
I'm going to have to leave it at that right now because we have Yusek Maria Rosario Vergere on the line. Thank you. You have a good day. Stay strong.
Okay,
stay safe. Stay healthy.
Sige.
Okay. That's George Barcelon, President Emeritus of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And now let's move on to Yusek Maria Rosario Vergere, okay, of the DOH. Yusek Rosette, good morning po sa inyo.
Good morning po, sir.
Okay, wag na po sir, sito lang po ma'am. I mean ma'am, wag na walang sir. Okay. Yusek Berhere, ano po ang updates natin regarding the COVID-19 campaign? Please go ahead ma'am.
Yes, currently, as our day, we already have 3,245 cases. We have 7 new recoveries, which brings our total to 64. And we now have 152 total for deaths.
Okay. Now, Yusek, I'm having a hard time trying to understand all of these reports because parang hindi ko makita tumataas ba, bumababa ba, there are good days, there are bad days. How is the DOH interpreting these fluctuations and why are there fluctuations?
Yes, Sito, we need to understand right now and need to recognize the fact that our laboratory capacity is not that stable yet. Meaning, we started off with our ITM at the outset, being the only laboratory which releases or tests specimen COVID-19. And we slowly have increased our capacity, expanded our laboratory capacity, extending it to different laboratories. So for now, we have 8 laboratories working to test COVID specimens. And with this, our results or the numbers have slowly risen because of this extension of capacity. So right now, if we get numbers per day, we still are not so sure or not accurate to say that this really is reflecting the true picture of the situation because the factor for our laboratories is still there. It is still not that stable, and some factors for our processing of specimens which will come in. That's why there would be an increase or a low turnout. Eventually, when we reach that target that we are looking at, to say that we already have stabilized our capacity, and that's the time that we can read results or the actual.
Okay, Yusek, what is the key number to watch out for? Because when I listen to reports, something stands out. Now, we don't have as many people dying. Yes, the number of positive cases are on the rise, but the number of people compared to other countries, medyo we are on the low side, and I'm really happy for this. Is this because of the caliber of doctors and intensity of healthcare attention that's being given to those patients, or how do you read this?
Well, we cannot undermine the fact that we have good doctors here in the Philippines. But we have to be very careful in interpreting our data for now because these mortalities are skewed towards cases and these critically ill patients. If you try to see our protocol, the protocol states that only severe cases, critically ill patients, and those vulnerable population are to be tested and admitted in our hospital. So giving us the true picture right now because of our limitations. But eventually we will see this
Hello, Yusek?
spread of these cases, no, if ever, with this with our mortality. So for now, our yes, what I'm
sorry,
saying
no,
is that
got
our
cut off.
mortality. Yes.
Okay.
Do I repeat the answer?
Okay. Yes. So basically, yours. Okay. I think we're having some technical difficulty there with Yusek Verhere. Let's try that again. Yusek, you are saying that these numbers are not indicative of the real situation right now because it's essentially focused on the critically ill patients. Is that correct?
That's right. Right. What I'm trying to say is it's hard to interpret it in such a way that you are getting the complete picture for now. Because our protocol states that we are going to test and admit patients are include all types of cases still in our mortality picture.
Okay, that's clear. I now understand. My technical team has told me that there's a slight delay, so I'll just let you keep talking after I ask the question. Now, a medical team from China arrived yesterday. What would be their role, and what are you expecting from them as far as the campaign is concerned?
Actually, these are people from China who had first management or direct management over the cases and decision making in Wuhan. And we have assistance so that we may be able to learn from them based from their experience. We can say that they had been successful because of the decrease in the number of their cases and the decrease in the number of their mortalities through in these past weeks. So our Chinese experts will be visiting our facilities, our referral hospitals, the lung center of the Philippines, and the Philippine General Hospital. They would be going to our ITM to check our laboratory capacity. They would also be the quarantine facilities so that they may be able to provide us with recommendations. So these experts will be providing us with technical assistance, providing recommendations in the different components of our response currently.
Okay, what is the position or the inclination of the health sector, particularly DOH, regarding the extension of the enhanced community quarantine?
Yes, sir. What we have right now would be we are now currently studying it carefully. We have a team from our statisticians, scientists, epidemiologists. We have gathered all of them to discuss with them the current situation. We are looking at the numbers, health system capacity. So in the coming days, as we finish the evaluation, the analysis, our team will be able to provide appropriate recommendations to the task force.
Okay, Secretary Anyo said or was quoted as saying that the extension or the length of the ECQ will be dependent, or no, I think it was Secretary Lito Galvez who said that it would all be dependent on the extent of testing that can be done. The question is, do we have enough testing kit, enough laboratories? How long will it take in order for government to have a determination regarding the extended community quarantine?
Oh, well, right now, what we are going to base or the determinants for us to be able to provide appropriate recommendations or in our data for every day. And then the second will be the capacity of the health system. And included in that, so for now, our laboratory has already extended its capacity, but still not sufficient for us to cover those who are, to cover the different types of cases from asymptomatic cases, the severe cases, and of course our healthcare workers. So we would be expanding capacity. We would try to scale up in the coming day. We'll be able to reach the targeted number on this CITO. Our
Okay.
definition of mass testing is those who are vulnerable, testing those who have severe and testing our healthcare workers this have. In the as expands, we will be able to cover more. But for now, that is our mass testing
Okay. We, okay, at least we know your priorities right now. We really wish you all the best. We include all of you in our prayers, and I know all our viewers I really appreciate what you personally have been doing. You're not just working at the DOH, you're representing government as a whole, giving us assurances and the right information. We pray that you will stay strong, stay healthy, and stay safe. Thank you very much, Yusek Rosette Vergere. Okay, that was Yusek Rosette Vergere. We'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go to our next guest here on Agenda. Please stay with us. Okay, we're back here on Agenda. We thank you for continuing to view the program, and we hope that somehow we are managing to fill in the blanks. Of course, we are having some technical difficulty because of the internet situation. Everyone seems to be living on the internet nowadays. Now, for our next guest, as I mentioned early in the program, we will have Vince Rapisura, who teaches microfinance, social entrepreneurship, and development finance at the Ateneo de Manila University. And the reason we bring him on board is because the forecast regarding COVID-19 is the first to get hit. Seriously affected, economically affected would be the micro enterprises. Let's bring in Vince Rapisura, President and CEO, Social Enterprise Development Partnership. I hope Vince is there. Okay, I think we have Vince Rapisura coming in. There we go. Okay, oops. Looks like he's not connecting. But in the meantime, I'll just let the team connect that automatically. Just bring him on when he's available. I just want to comment regarding the social amelioration card, because there might be talk there of, inequality, hindi lahat nabigyan. Early this morning, I received information of a barangay where 3 separate families were not given the amelioration card. And when I checked as to why, 2 out of 3 were valid, meaning the 2 families, the head of the family, both actually had sari-sari stores or were engaged in micro enterprise. One was a rice vendor, small scale backyard rice vendor, kilo, and the other one had small sari-sari store. But both of the heads of the family were gainfully employed, and therefore they do not fall under the pangtawid program of the government because they're not poorest of the poor. So that's understandable, and many people there, if you hear information such as this, that there is inequity or it's not fair or someone is being selective, you have to understand that the social amelioration cards, the priority right now is para doon sa walang-wala, the poorest of the poor. The other case was a problematic situation because the person in this situation had 8 kids, or I think 7 or 8 kids, and was a security guard, but he was for technically employed by this village or this facility that he was living in. So he wasn't really destitute. Well, yeah, he is destitute in that sense because you've got 7 kids and you're living on a security guard's salary. That's not much. But there are many people out there who have nothing. There are tricycle drivers who can't work. There are people who are laborers, I know, daily wage earners who can't work because they can't commute. In fact, I know of some people in Lipa who pedal their way to workplaces. Now they can't leave the house because their barangays are quite strict regarding this ECQ. So just not to defend the government, but fair is fair. I believe we need to first understand what are the parameters or what are the details in cases before we go online and start, yip yapping and saying, okay, this is very unfair. Okay, and now we have Vince Rapisura available. I do hope we can get him in this time.
Yes.
Vince, are you now? Okay, there you go.
Yes.
Vince, welcome to the program.
Hi, Sito. Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Okay, Vince, I understand that you aired concerns that the first victim or the first massive casualty after COVID-19, or if God, I wish to God there is an after COVID-19 via vaccine, the first massive casualty will be the micro entrepreneurs. Can you please explain this kahit Tagalogin mo para maintindihan ng mga tao? Sino ba yung mga micro-entrepreneurs na sinasabi mo and why are they going to be the first casualty?
Okay, sa micro-enterprises, ang definition ng Department of Trade of Industry, kung ikaw ay may less than 10 employees at less than 3 million in assets, you are considered a micro-enterprise. And based on the DTI data, about 40%, nearly 40% of our labor force ay nanggagaling sa mga micro-enterprises. So ano ba yung mga karaniwan na nakikita natin ng mga micro-enterprises? So like in our case, we have a microfinance institution that operates in Agusan del Sur and Surigao del Sur. Yung mga clients namin are micro-enterprises. So they are vendors, farmers or fisher folks, mga nagsasari-sari store, mga dressmakers, nasa karinderya, animal backyard racing. Ito yung mga examples ng mga micro-enterprises. So sila yung tinatamaan ng sila talaga yung tinamaan. We did a community assessment para mapulsuhan yung sitwasyon sa kanila. So we did one on March 15, another one on March 30, and then just yesterday ay kakatapos namin nung continuous na community assessment namin. And what we found out was that noong March 15, 20% ng mga micro-enterprises ang nagsara na ng kanilang mga negosyo at 40% ang nag-report na humina. Yung remaining 40 hindi namin makontak. Noong March 30, yung 20% na nagsara, ngayon lumaki na to 40%. Tapos the remaining nagsabi na humina yung kanilang negosyo. Kanina, April 5, nung nagtanong kami, talagang marami nang nagsara, lalo yung mga sari-sari stores. So kung dati yung mga sari-sari stores, ang sabi nila humina yung kanilang negosyo, now they're saying that they have to consume their own goods kasi kailangan nilang mabuhay. So yun yung sitwasyon on the ground na nakita natin na epekto ng lockdown with this COVID-19 quarantines.
Okay, quick answer. How are they supposed to recover from this? Meron bang recovery or kailangan baguhin na natin yung ating pamamaraan ng kabuhayan? Because
Yes.
I was just talking to George Barcelon and we both agreed the consumers are just going to really pull back, babawas ng gastos, magtitipid, because largely a lot of people are going to be unemployed.
Mhm. Yeah, of immediately, ang kailangan talaga nila ay relief operations, no? Relief goods. And based on what we've researched, only 49% of our members ang naka-receive ng relief goods from government. So I think kailangan pa talagang i-step up ng government yung pagbibigay ng relief goods sa kanila kasi marami na nagre-report na nagugutom na sila. Tapos doon naman sa cash amelioration na ibibigay ng gobyerno, only 2% ang nag-report sa amin na nakakuha na sila ng cash amelioration from the government, no? And we're hoping na talagang maibigay ito agad at although marami sa kanila, no, na nagsasabi, halos lahat sila, 86% ang nagsasabi na yung 5,000 cash amelioration na ibibigay sa kanila to sustain themselves in this quarantine period na hindi natin alam kung may extend pa o hindi. Ang sabi nila, mahirap talagang pagkasyahin yon, no? So, in our case, yung sa shift na ginagawa namin as microfinance institutions, so microfinance institutions, we give out loans to micro-enterprises to support their livelihood. So, ang iniisip namin ngayon ay, so paano na yung loan nila na pagbalik namin sa operations namin, ang mangyayari talaga doon ang katotohanan ay wala silang pambayad doon sa loan nila sa amin. Sa pakatuwid, ang kailangan pa talaga nila ay infusion ng capital to start again. So our organization, what we are trying to do, what we will do actually, is to shift from focusing on loans as a development strategy to capital infusion so that yung relationship namin with the clients hindi na siya creditor-debtor relationship kundi magiging business partners na namin sila, and then we provide them with startup capital, and then eventually ang mangyayari is they buy back that equity portion, that capital contribution para maging kanila ulit yung business. Kasi kapag utang yung pag-uusapan natin, talagang mababaon sa interest ang mga mahihirap.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vince. I think that's a good idea. Partner up with those who are struggling. Give relief to those who really don't have anything. Thank you very much for your inputs, Vince.
Thank you. Thank you also.
Okay. Of social enterprise development. Okay. Okay, there we go. That is part of work from home reality. Okay, we've done it for the day. We've interviewed key people, given you important information, and to wrap it up, I think the best we can do for now is to start thinking of what your new normal is going to look like. Our new normal is that we start and end our day with prayer. Our new normal is to be as productive as we can. Our new normal is to figure out what kind of a life are we going to have. If this is what retirement feels like, well, maybe you should prepare for it. And as I told George, if you are a businessman, you are going to have to either start small, grow big, and then we'll see what we can do. Thank you for what you have. I'm Cito Beltran, and that's